Yo, what is up? So in this tutorial, we're going to go ahead and set up our interaction system. So what we're going to set up is we're going to set up a line trace. You can see we have a line trace that comes from our camera. And we're going to detect our interactables. So when we hit our interactable, we can interact with it. And then for this, we're just going to destroy the actor for our base item. So just interact with it. You see we get a print string in the top left that says interact. And the item destroys. Now, the way our interaction system is going to work in the long run, not every item is just going to destroy, so it's going to depend on the interactable. But for now, we're going to get this part set up, and then we'll work on other items later down the road. So yeah, let's just hop into it. Alright, so the first thing we're going to be doing is we need to add an interact interface. So let's do that. We're going to go into our blueprints folder, and we're going to right click. We're going to make a new folder called interfaces. Then we're going to open this guy up, and we are going to search for, right here in the blueprints, a blueprint interface. We're going to make this, and we're going to call it BPI underscore interact. And then we'll just open this guy up. Alright, and just to give a quick rundown of what an interface is, we're going to look here, right here on the Unreal Engine, forums. And yeah, a blueprint interface is a collection of one or more functions, name only, no implementation, that can be added to other blueprints. Any blueprint that has the interface added is guaranteed to have those functions. The functions of the interface can be given functionality in each of the blueprints that, any of the blueprints that added it. This is essentially like the concept of an interface in general programming, which allows multiple different types of objects to all share and be accessed through a common interface. Put simply, blueprint interfaces allow different blueprints to share with and send data to one another. So yeah, we're just basically going to use an interface to kind of communicate some things back and forth. So yeah. And as you can see, like it said, it's just a collection of functions. You can add functions up here inside of it. We just need the one function for now that's already in here by default. And we're just going to rename this guy to interact. So compile and save. Then we can close this guy down. Next thing we're going to do is go into our first person blueprint folder. We're going to go to our first person character. And up here in class settings, we're going to click this guy. And we need to implement our interface. So go over here to implemented interfaces, and we're going to add and search for interact. BPI interact. We're just going to add that guy. We're also going to add this to our base item. So go to your items folder here, BP base item, class settings, and we're going to go here and search for interact. BPI interact. Add that guy there. And that's good for now. So the next thing we need to do is we're going to set up our line trace setup. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to right click up here on our first person character. Right click. And we're going to look for begin play. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to do a use a timer by event. You could do this on event tick. But I'm going to do it on a timer. So yeah, so just right click and we're going to look for timer by set timer by event right here. Set timer by event. This guy, we're going to plug this guy into our begin play. We're going to set the time on this guy to 0.1. You also want to check this looping to be true right there. Then we're going to right click and make a custom event, and we're going to call this line trace, or let's call it interactable line trace timer. Call it that. You can name it whatever you want. I'm gonna plug that into the event right there, and we're just gonna make some room up here. So the first thing we want to do is we want to get our first person camera, pull this guy in. And we're going to pull off of this guy, and we're going to get location. We're going to get the world location. like that. And then we're going to right click over here and we're going to look for line trace by channel. And we're going to plug this into our custom event right here. And we're going to plug in our get world location to the start of this. So our line trace will start at our first person camera. And then we're going to pull off of our first person camera, pull down here, and we're going to get the forward vector like that. So we're going to get the forward vector of, you know, whatever direction we're facing. And then we're going to pull off of this guy. We're going to multiply. And then we need to add these two together. So get world location right here. We're going to pull off this guy. We're going to add. And we're just going to add these two together. And this will be our end location. But this multiplication, this multiply that we're doing, we need to set, this is basically what's going to be our distance at how far we want to check our line trace. I'm going to right click on this pin right here, and I'm going to change it to float single precision. And I'm going to make this guy 500. So, like that. So it'll check it in the distance of 500. And just so we can see this is working, we're going to go to our draw debug type right here. And we're going to go to for duration. And compile and save. And now if we press play, you can see we are getting a line trace. That's our line trace. And you can see it detects when we hit things. And yeah. Alright. So now that we got that working, what we want to do is we want to do some things after it hits something. So right here, we're going to get a branch. So press B on your keyboard and click. We're going to plug this guy in. And we're going to see if it does hit something, we want to do some things. So we're going to pull out this out hit right here. And we want to break hit result. And then what we want to do is we're going to do another check. So grab a branch, B on your keyboard and click. And we want to check if our hit actor, the thing that we're hitting, we're going to see if it does implement interface. And the interface that we're going to check is our interact. And we're going to plug this into this branch. And there we go. So, if it does implement the interface, we want to promote our hit actor to a variable. So pull off this guy, we're going to promote to a variable, and we're going to call this current interactable. So this is our current thing that we can interact with. We're going to plug this into the true, and there we go. So the next thing we want to do is we want to reset our current interactable whenever we're not, probably whenever we're not hitting something, or if it does not implement the interface. So we'll probably just do it on both. So we're gonna grab our current interactable. We're going to pull off this guy. First, we want to check to see if it is valid. If we have a current interactable. And then we'll plug this into the false of here. And to the false of here. And then what we want to do is we just want to set our current interactable back to none. Like that. And I'm just going to add some pins here to clean it up. If you double click on your execution line here, you can add a pin just to straighten that up. And that should be good. So now what we're going to do here is we're going to do a print string to check that this is working. And the thing that we want to print is our current interactable. So plug this guy in and it'll get display name. So let's check that that is working. If I come over here to the wall, we don't get any print string. If I come over here, you can see we get BP base item because it implements the interface and it's something we can interact with. And yeah, so that's our line trace setup. That's us setting our current interactable. So now we want to set up what we want to do whenever we interact with something. So next thing we're going to do is go into your first person folder. We're going to go into input, and we're going to add a new input action. So duplicate your jump input action. We're just going to duplicate this guy, and we're going to call this interact. And then we're going to go back and go to our IMC default, and we're going to add a mapping, which is going to be our input action interact. And you can set your key here. Click on this guy and then just choose a key you want it to be. I'm going to choose the E key. So we'll just set that right there. And now we're going to go back to our first person blueprint. And I'm going to come down here in some empty space, and I'm going to search for interact. Don't grab the BPI interact. You want your input action interact right here. So just grab that guy. And what we want to do here is we're going to grab our current interactable, and we want to check if it is valid. So is valid. We want to make sure that we have a current interactable. We're going to plug this into the started, and if we do, we're going to just duplicate that current interactable, and then we want to interact. Now we want the BPI interact, the interact message right here. We're going to grab that guy. And yeah, we're just going to send a message that will fire off into our base item. And let me double check my screenshot here and make sure I didn't do anything else. Yeah, that's all we need. And let me double check this, make sure I didn't do anything else. Yeah, that's all we need. And here, yeah. So next we're going to go into our base item. And so go to your first person folder, blueprints, items, BP base item. We could delete all of these right here. And then we just want to implement the interface here. So just double click this function over here under the interfaces. Just double click that guy. And what we want to do, let me double check what I did here. I did a print string. So let's just do a print string off the rip. We'll make this say interact exclamation. I'm also going to go get rid of the other print string we had over here. We can delete this one. We know that's working. Then the next thing we want to do is we want to get our item info. We're going to break this guy open. And we're just going to tick this down arrow. And we have our item type here. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch. We're going to switch how we interact with an item depending on what the item type is. So that enum that we set up, we're going to just pull off this guy and search for switch. Switch on E item type. Plug this guy in. And for now, all we're going to do is set up the none. So what we're going to do is, let me double check. Yeah, I'm just destroying. We are playing a sound here as well. So if you do want it to play a sound, we can set that up real quick. So we're just going to right click, play sound. And plug this guy in. And the sound you want to play is our pickup sound from our item info, our structure. You can play that sound. And we're just going to right click over here and destroy actor. And plug this guy into the none because our base item is a none. And then later on when we get other items, we will, change what we do here. So that should work. So let's give it a test. And if we come up here and interact with it, it destroys. It's exactly what we need. So yeah, that's good. So I did add, before we end here, I did add another enum to our structure. Let me just pull that guy up real quick. This is names. Let me see what this one is. So yeah, all we need is we're gonna make a new enum and add it to our structure. So go into your blueprints folder here, and we're gonna go into enums, and we may switch how some things interact with another enum that are specific to item names. So say you want to open a specific door and you want a specific thing to happen when that specific door opens. So like, what I mean by that is right now our enum item type is for anything of that item type. So say you have something you want to happen on a specific door, this item type won't really work for this situation. So we're gonna do a new enum called item names. So you can name a door a a specific name. So yeah. So we're gonna go to blueprint enum. We're gonna call this e_item name, and we're just gonna add a few in here. First, we're gonna add a none, and I have a list of some names that I went ahead and made here. So first one is base item. So add a new one. This one's gonna be base item. Next one's gonna be flashlight. Next one's gonna be no.door1. You'll understand that later once we get to door stuff. No.door1. Next one is gonna be .door1. So .door1. Next one is gonna be key door 1. So key door 1. Next one will be code door 1. Code door 1. And finally we'll add some batteries. We'll just make a battery. Battery. And there we go. So now we just need to add this to our structure. So we can close all of this down for now. Let's go to our blueprint, structs, item info. And we're just going to add a variable. And this is going to be our item name. Add a space there. Gonna bug me. And we're just going to look for our item name enum. Item name. And I kind of want my item name to be next to my item type. So something you can do is, if you're not satisfied with the organization of your structure, if you come over here to the very left where all these little dots are, you can click and drag this guy up and reorganize some things. So I'm going to just put that guy there. So, and I'm also just going to update and make sure that that info is correct in our data table. So the item name is, this is going to be base item. This is our base item, so I'm going to name that base item right there. And last thing I want to do is just kind of clean up our function that we made in here, this guy. So I'm just going to highlight everything that we have going on for our line trace here. And I'm going to right click, and I'm going to collapse to function. And I'm going to name this interactable check. And just pull this guy over here. Compile, save. And something else we can do real quick is we don't need to really see our line trace anymore. So go to your draw debug type. We're going to set that to none. And that should all be good. So, yeah. We set up our interaction. We can interact with item. And, yeah, and the next one we'll probably go ahead and start setting up interacting with doors. So we'll probably have a few videos on like different door types and things you can do with doors. So we'll have our first thing to interact with, and then after that we'll probably move on to interacting with flashlight, get our flashlight system set up and stuff. So yeah, we're gonna call it here for this one. If you like the video, hit the like button. If you're new around here, definitely subscribe. If you have any questions, let me know those down in the comments. If you have any suggestions for any tutorials you would like to see, also let me know that down in the comments. And also, if you'd like to support the channel, we do have memberships on the channel. It would, you know, definitely help support being able to make these tutorials and such. So, yeah. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.